Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going over Netflix. As a disclosure, it is one of my holdings, but I want to make the point of this video some of the reasons I am nervous about continuing to hold Netflix, and why I'm also considering buying more at the same time. If that sounds conflicting, it's because it is. I'm conflicted. Because Netflix is the king of streaming. Unlike its rivals that have been struggling to either make content or switch to streaming, Netflix not only pioneered the industry, but has also found the optimal position within it. Big tech has been trying to enter the space for quite some time now, but their content isn't all that compelling. Traditional Hollywood has great content and movies, but is bad at switching to streaming. Without a doubt, Disney made a splash in the pandemic era, but it is starting to struggle. Subscribers have started to plateau faster than it expected, and so far that part of Disney is still highly unprofitable. Although at the rate they're raising prices, that could change soon. But that being said, Netflix is still the king of the industry. It is by far the largest player, but even it can only gain so many subscribers. There's only so many people in the world. And this unfortunate truth is why Netflix has been pivoting to advertisements. But before we dive deeper into where Netflix could potentially be going, let's go over some of the numbers. Over the last 5 years, Netflix is up only about 28%. And it has seen quite the volatility during that time as well. After all, just 1 year ago, it was worth half as much as it is today. And just 2 years ago, it was worth nearly 75% more than its current price. I personally didn't get invested into this company until its low in 2022. I bought it nearly the bottom of the trench. That being said, it's rallied 100% since then. So now I need to reevaluate my position and see where I'm going to go with Netflix from here. Just since the beginning of the year, Netflix is up 50%, going from about $300 a share up to $440. At that share price, Netflix is valued at about $191 billion, just shy of 200. At this valuation, that puts its price-to-earnings ratio at about 36 times. Definitely a premium compared to the overall market. Netflix's revenue has been climbing year over year, but its growth, as you can tell, has been slowing quite rapidly. And while this in itself is nothing to be concerned about, the rate at which and the severity of its plummeting growth rate is what concerns me. Clearly, during the World Health Scare, everybody was locked inside essentially. Nobody went anywhere, travel stopped, and people sat at home and streamed a lot of content. That resulted in some good years, pushing 20% growth each one. Just as if Netflix was high off caffeine, what followed was definitely a crash. In 2022, Netflix only grew at about 7%. Now that is not something that is also necessarily a red flag. Obviously the health crisis threw a lot of things out of balance. But Netflix will need to prove that it can regain its momentum from here. Now Netflix needs to show investors that it may be down, but it's not out. One of the main highlights of Netflix's revenue is the fact that they were able to hold on all the gains they made during that weird time. Netflix was able to keep and maintain all those new subscribers that it gained over the pandemic. And that's definitely an achievement. Netflix could have gone the way of Zoom after the pandemic. It could have seen a major subscriber crash, but so far we haven't seen that. That being said, something that did take a bit more of a hit after the pandemic was the profits. Netflix's fiscal year 2022 did take a hit in profits. Nothing major, but still substantial. This resulted in Netflix's profit margin slipping below 20% after just achieving it in 2021. As a shareholder of Netflix, one of the things I want to see it be able to do is get over that 20% mark and stay there. Or get as high as possible. I'm not going to say no to 30%. So that takes us into how can Netflix achieve that? Because at its current valuation, Netflix needs to be a more profitable company. Not to mention, it needs to be able to have a growth rate capable of achieving those numbers. A growth rate I'd like to see it achieve is at least double digits. And to achieve similar numbers, Netflix is changing its strategy. So we all know the story so far. Netflix pioneered the streaming industry. It was going all in on subscriptions, get as many as you can. And that worked for quite some time. But now Netflix's markets are becoming more saturated. Not completely saturated, but subscriber growth alone is likely not going to get them the numbers that most shareholders are looking for. There are still some international markets that they can get deeper into. However, that is likely to be a slow and gradual process. Something that is more likely going to catapult Netflix into a new age of profitability is going to be advertisements. And yes, as a subscriber of Netflix, I'm not going to enjoy this era. It was basically inevitable that the golden age of streaming was going to come to a close, and we are going to see them become more cable company-like. Subscriber growth was always going to plateau. There are only so many people in the world, and there's only so much Netflix can charge them directly. But something they can build off of and something that is more negotiable is advertisements with larger companies. And Netflix has a lot of things going for it that could make it an absolute powerhouse in advertisements. And shareholders know all too well how much money can come from advertisements. Alphabet, the owner of Google and YouTube, is literally a $1 trillion company solely based on advertisements. Meta, with its Facebook and Instagram apps, is another nearly $1 trillion company based solely off of ads. Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft all have multi-billion-dollar advertisement segments to their companies. So we're going to see the ad-free tiers become more expensive, and we're going to see the ad tiers have more ads. Oh, what fun this is going to be. Overall, we're going to see the streaming industry become increasingly more cable company-like, and Netflix has more potential than any other streaming company to capture as much of the market as possible before anyone else comes even close to challenging them. So what makes Netflix so much more capable of profiting from advertisements than, say, Disney or HBO? Well, it's kind of similar to Google versus Bing. Google captured so much of the market, so much of users' attention, that Bing was always a secondary minor player in the industry, and Google has been able to dominate its field ever since. Because once you are that established and make that much money, you can use that revenue and profit to completely overshadow your competitors. If Netflix has a runaway in its advertisement industry, it'll be able to use that revenue and profit to make more content than anyone else, keeping everybody in the system, keeping it the dominant player in ads. And this could really result in a snowball effect. Netflix is set up to be the dominant player in streaming ads. It'll be the go-to cable alternative. It has one of the most diverse and international audiences out of any of the streaming companies. It has one of the youngest audiences worldwide. It has the widest range of content types and varieties. And unlike, say, YouTube, all of its content is controlled in-house and can be moderated. The password crackdown keeps people from using it for free, well, at least free without ads. And Netflix has one of the highest viewerships in the industry, and one of the longest watch times. High viewership and long watch times mean more ad potential. And the emphasis on viewership and watch time is immense. Watch time essentially means how many ads can you put in front of each person, while viewership is how many different people are you targeting. The amount of viewers and time spent watching some of Netflix's top tier shows is absolutely incredible. Squid Game Season 1, 265 million views. 2.2 billion watch hours. Wednesday Season 1, 250 million views. 1.7 billion hours watched. The Queen's Gambit, 112 million views. 746 million watch hours. Even their number 10 show, The Night Agent, Season 1, still got 100 million views and 800 million hours watch time. And this is all behind Netflix's subscription paywall. Imagine the kind of viewership numbers if Netflix ever offered a free tier, even if the content was time-gated and people couldn't watch it until months afterwards. And Netflix is doing well in films as well, with their number 1 movie, Red Notice, at 230 million views and 450 watch hours. While the ad potential with their movies will probably be more limited compared to their shows, as breaks in a movie are more intrusive and damaging to the brand's reputation, they still offer prime spots to be put in front of, at least in the very beginning. So yes, Netflix's ad potential is absolutely incredible. And because of Netflix being able to moderate its own content creation, this means it can charge more than pretty much anyone else in the current advertisement space. So Netflix has the potential to have ads at scale, at a premium. The only thing it's missing is being able to precisely target them, which could be improved marginally by people having their own profiles. Right now, Netflix is in a bit of a slump. It's still working on its account sharing crackdown, which has resulted in more resubscriptions than cancellations. And while it has started to introduce ads, it is still extremely early days in this industry. Netflix is now finally ending its startup growth phase, and it is going to start leveraging its immense size towards profitability. And ads will have numerous positive effects, but that also gives them the freedom to charge more for their subscription. As the price increases, people will either drop down to a lower tier or pay the higher price. However, in the end, they will keep watching Netflix. Whether they pay a higher subscription price or pay more in ads, Netflix is still the go-to streaming company for people to watch their content. The main question I have as a shareholder is how long this will actually take to become a multi-billion-dollar part of their business, and how much potential in specific revenue and profit dollar amounts does advertisements have for Netflix? Overall, though, I feel that advertisements will be an absolute boom for Netflix. I think it will transform it from just a streaming company to a streaming advertisement juggernaut. And it's one of the reasons why I'm tempted to buy more. I'm just trying to decide what the best price to do that is. So, do you agree or disagree with me? Do you see Netflix as an advertisement powerhouse? Do you think its revenue could rival its subscriptions? Or do you think it's nowhere near the potential of the likes of Facebook and Google? I believe if Netflix executes appropriately, it can become the central cable alternative for all advertisements. But that's just my thesis on the company. Let me know what you all think in the comments below. And if you like the content we make, be sure to like, subscribe, and keep watching Interesting Investments.